Okay, so this demonstration is going to show you 8th graders how to add a spout to your coil pot. As you can see, I've been working on a coil pot. My coil pot is currently almost 2.5 inches tall. And as you can see, over on this side, it's starting to come out, whereas the rest of it is coming straight up. So I'm going to show you how to do that, okay? So I have rolled a coil, just like I've shown you in class before. And I also have an additional extra coil that I had left over from the last coil that I made. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to my pot. Again, this is where my spout is starting, okay? So I'm going to take my longer coil and I'm going to start at the back, and I'm going to stack my coil right on top of each other, on top of the other coils that I have. Okay, and I'm working towards this spout that's right here. Okay, you can see right here the coils are right on top of where I've already been working. Now I'm going to take this smaller coil and I'm going to start filling this in. And what I want to do is I want to bring, because I'm making my spout here, I want to bring my coil so it's not perfectly on top of my other coils that I've already created. Okay, so if I tip this down a little bit so you can see on the inside, you can see it's not exactly perfectly lined up. I'm putting it towards the outside. I'm not going so far that I'm putting it out like this, but I'm gradually going to be moving it in that direction. So I'm putting it towards the outside. Okay, now I know I have a gap here, but we're going to work on filling that in later. So I'm going to do the same thing that I've done with all of the other coils that I've used so far. I'm going to start on the inside using my left hand, because I'm right-handed, using my left hand for support on the outside. I will then take my right hand, and I usually use either my pointer finger or my middle finger, or sometimes even my ring finger. I usually use one of those 3 fingers. It just kind of depends. And then I will start usually somewhere towards the middle, and I will just bring down some clay. Not a lot of clay, just some. I've shown you this in class before, but we're going to go over it again. So I'm bringing down some clay. Now, this is how I've always done it, so this is what feels most comfortable to me. But you have to bring down some clay. If you just stack the coils on top of each other and leave it like that, maybe you put some slip in there, maybe you spray some water, maybe you rub your finger with some water, it's going to stay temporarily. You have to blend the individual pieces of clay together or it's not going to work. Okay, so I'm going to keep working on blending this together. It doesn't look very pretty right now. I'm not worried about this looking pretty right now. Right now, I'm worried about joining the 2 pieces of clay together. Okay, so now I'm going to turn this back this way, and I'm going to keep working, just bringing a little bit of the clay downward with my finger. I'm not applying a lot of pressure. I'm not trying to kill it. I'm not trying to cut my coil in half. I want to keep as much of the thickness as a coil as I can. All right, I'm just taking maybe an 1/8, possibly even a 1/16 of the coil and moving it downward. Okay, now I'm coming up on the area where my spout is, okay, where it's not perfectly lined up with the clay. And you can kind of see that here. There's this darker line here. That's because it's not lined up with this other coil that I've already blended into my pot. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing. My left hand for support, and then I'm going to bring my clay down, okay? Again, it doesn't look very pretty right now. I'm going to go back and fix that in just a moment after I finish blending my coils together. Okay? I'm going to blend my coils together. All right. And if, as you can see already, if I come this way, it's starting to move in an outward direction compared to here where it's relatively smooth. Okay? So I'm going to take a little bit of extra clay, make a smaller coil here in my hands. Okay. I want to try to keep it the same thickness as everything else. And I'm just going to fill in this coil spot real quick. Okay? So filling in this coil is important because I don't want a hole, but I also want to be able to have a strong bond. So I'm going to do the same exact thing that I did before. Filled it in, I brought down some of it. Now, this is just me. This is the order of operations that I prefer to do things in. Okay? So it's not necessarily the way it has to be. I will then go through and I will smooth the inside of my pot. I work usually in the opposite direction of which I turned the pot when I was bringing down some of the clay. And this time, instead of going in a more vertical downward motion, I'm going in a horizontal or a left to right motion. And I am using, again, my left hand for support. And I'm just smoothing over that clay. And you can already see the difference between where I've smoothed it and where I've just blended my coils together. I like to do this after every coil because that way A, I remember to do it, and B, it just adds another level of security in my mind that I have securely blended those two coils and that it's not going to come apart. Okay, now here I'm going to bring my hand and kind of support that more outwardly jutting area because I'm at my spout. Okay, blend my coils together, and as you can see, that didn't really take me all that long. Okay, so now I'm going to put my left hand on the inside and I'm going to do the same thing on the outside. I'm just going to very carefully pull down some clay. Okay, you can already see that the outside of my pot doesn't look as nice as it could, but that's all right. I'm not worried about that right now. Right now, I'm worried about the construction. I will finish it and polish it up later, and that will be another little video that you will be able to watch. Okay, here's my spout. It's starting to jut out. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I'm just being very careful and I'm pulling just a little bit of clay, but I'm still keeping that spout area. Here's where I joined those two pieces because I didn't have quite long enough coils. So I'm going to make sure that I'm joining that at the top too, where those two pieces are coming together. Okay, finish this off just like this. At this point, I leave it just like this. I'm going to be adding another coil, so I know that the outside of my pot is just going to continue to kind of have this downward pull of clay, and I'm not worried about that right now. Right now, I'm trying to get my height, and I'm trying to get my spout. So I'm going to do the same process again. I'm going to roll a coil, and get this out of my way, okay? Take about, a small handful of it, not a lot. Don't be afraid to have to roll more coils. I'm going to roll it in my hands. I roll it in my hands. I like to turn mine at least once. I will work until it gets too long for my hands. Put it on the table. Okay, put it on the table. I like to use my right hand to roll. My left hand I will put over here to help hold my table covering. And I will just roll back and forth, moving my hand from the left to the right and the right to the left. I roll more, as you can see, with the palm of my hand versus my fingertips. I find that it provides a more even coil if I use the palm of my hand versus my fingertips. Now that is a personal preference. This comes with practice. Those of you that enjoy playing with Play-Doh, I would highly recommend that you think of this as a Play-Doh activity. I want to roll as long of a snake as I can. Okay? My son loves that. So now I'm going to add this back on. I'm going to show you again how I am getting that spout. Okay? My spout is here. All right? Put my clay towards the outside. Okay? You can see that. I'm putting my clay towards the outside. It's not standing 100% on top, but it's not so drastic that it's on the side. We are slowly moving that, okay? To have a nice, even looking spout, you need to do it in slow increments, not real drastic. Okay? So I'm just going to continue on with making my pot taller. Remember, as an 8th grader, you have to have it at least 4 inches, and it can't be any higher than 6, okay? My pot's not there yet, so I'm just gonna keep working, and you'll be able to see this pot in class, and you'll be able to see the progress I've made and the changes that I've made to it. The next video, you'll see how to pull a spout. Did I say spout? I meant handle. How to pull a handle.